Hello guys, this is Modest Major here, bringing you some commentary over some Combat Evolved Anniversary gameplay. The score in the background is a 21-1, and it's taking place on the map Beaver Creek. Beaver Creek is a map that has appeared in Halo 1, Halo 2, and Halo Anniversary, and there's also been a ton of Forge remakes by the community that are played regularly in customs. So to be quite honest, when Beaver Creek was a map on Halo Anniversary, it wasn't really something I was massively excited about, because Beaver Creek was kind of a go-to custom game map, and you know, it's one of the things that kind of frustrates me when we see a new Halo game, is that they rely on these old classics, these fan favorites, and consistently put them in the game, like maps like Blood Gulch, Coagulation, Hemorrhage, Last Resort, Zanzibar, etc. When really, I think Halo has such a strong back catalogue of maps that it kind of frustrates me when they do it more than once, I would say. And, you know, it's a small thing, it's a first world problem, that's for sure. But it's just something that mildly irritates me. Another thing that mildly irritates me about Combat Evolved Anniversary at the moment is that there are a ton of quitters on this playlist, and there's also not that many players to begin with. I believe the player numbers usually top at around 250, maybe 300 if you were lucky, but I don't think I've really seen that, to be honest. And it's pretty depressing because you also get a hell of a lot of quitters. And I think that's down to the fact that this game is so drastically different to the other Halo games found in the franchise. The pistol is not something you can just pick up and play with. It's got a very low auto-aim, it's got a very fast kill time. So it's a pretty risky weapon to use, and you can find yourself spamming it, not registering it properly, not using it, not applying it properly is what I mean. I don't know why it took 4 times to get to the word using. I don't know what my problem is, but there we go. So yeah, I understand to an extent, but it's so frustrating because, you know, we're rolling around in a full team with me, Lurker, Sort Vengeance, and we play Halo pretty much every day, and we kind of bowl over people, even though we don't play this game at all, and it's just because not many people are playing Halo right now, and the casual players don't want to be anywhere near us, and we don't want to be anywhere near freaking the godlike MLG pros that are in this playlist also, but we still accept it, we still take our lashings, we still take our whoopings. It annoys me that the casual players don't, but, you know, whatever, to be expected. I had a topic that I wanted to discuss with you guys today, and it was regarding the idea of Spectator mode. Now, a little while ago, 343 had a Q&A on the Waypoint Bulletin, and to be honest, it was a little bit lacking in details. They really didn't go into that much depth, and I kind of expected as much. It's very early days still, and they want to keep a lot of things under wraps, because they probably have quite a few surprises in store. I want to see stuff personally, like the return of clans from Halo 2, and I want to know that that's coming back in the game, because if it doesn't, that would be a massive oversight. Clans are awesome, and I think they should just put them in every game. Where did clans go? I ask that question every day of my life. But anywho, so the Spectator mode is one of these things where they basically announced that there's not going to be a Spectator mode in the Master Chief Collection. There probably will be in Halo 5 Guardians, but that isn't confirmed for sure either. And there was a little bit of a debate going on Twitter of whether this was a really serious issue, whether this was something we should be worrying about, and it was kind of split down the middle in that some people were like, this isn't that big of a deal, and then other people were like, yo, this is an oversight on 343's part, and this isn't acceptable in any way, shape, or form. And I kind of rest in the middle of those two ideologies. I think, like, to an extent, I am obviously annoyed. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to be the death of the game. I think the game's going to be able to thrive. I think it's too big a package, and it's too convincing to really pass up. You're not going to pass up over something like that as an average consumer. However, at the same time, I also think 343 aren't really in a position to be making oversights like this in the past. You know, a lot of people who criticize Halo 4, they mainly criticize it over oversights, over stuff that they just didn't seem to understand how annoyed the Halo community would be if stuff like this didn't exist. You know, stuff like a ranking system, for example, stuff like ranked versus social. This was stuff that was already cemented in previous Halo games, and if they couldn't hold up the title that Bungie had previously, you know, held up, it doesn't really make sense, and it doesn't really add up. And the fact that we went from Halo Reach into Halo 4 and these problems weren't addressed was kind of like, do they even care? Do they even think about these sort of things? And the way that they worded their answer to the question was something on the lines of, you know, we understand that this is a big deal, sort of, but we've got Twitch to cover this. Twitch will, you know, be able to sort everyone out because they'll be able to use the Twitch app. And I wonder if just Microsoft passed down that order and just said, yo, don't give them Spectator mode. There's no need to be putting resources in that. and concentrating on that when you can just use our handy dandy Twitch app. And it's like, you don't have to understand much about the esports scene to understand that that's a bit of an oversight. Because even, you know, recording each individual person's perspective through the Twitch app, it's going to involve something called a HDMI converter box, which I believe they can run you up above $1,000, maybe even $2,000. And that's like a low quality HDMI converter. So this is very costly. And you have to think from the perspective of, you know, we're trying to attract MLG's attention. We want MLG's attention. And 343 aren't exactly in the position to be calling the shots at this point in time. You know, Call of Duty have a pretty avid fan base. The Treyarch games especially are exceedingly popular, and they've got a really big community and really big momentum behind it. We are no longer in a fortunate enough position as to be able to call the shots with the competitive guys anymore, to call the esports. You know, MLG aren't going to sit back and go, yeah, Halo nostalgia, let's get it back on the circuit. No, like, they're a business. They want good enough, solid enough reasons, solid enough foundation to be able to build a competitive community off the back of it. And for them to make an oversight like this, for them to make it that little bit more difficult for MLG, kind of seems moronic to me, especially given their history, especially given how much of a dent it put in the game's population by not servicing the competitive community, by not following through these actions we expected to. And if you look back at Halo 3, you know, the thing that really gets me about Halo 3, and the thing I love about the game, is that it was taking things forward so far in terms of its production values, in terms of offering a really solid Forge experience, a theater experience, campaign theater, and these experiences became a gold standard. They became something that were now expected from future Halo games. And for them to go backwards with each and every iteration, instead of adding in these new features, you know, it's not like this is even, oh, you know, this is some really, really hard to pull off, this is some intense new feature that this company is the first one to try. No, Call of Duty managed to pull it off fairly easily, both with Call of Duty Ghosts and Black Ops 2, and it sort of drives me insane and boggles my mind that it comes across egotistical. It comes across like, you know, we're Halo, so we're just gonna skip that part of the production, but everything else will be okay. Just use Twitch, guys. It's like, no, like, you're trying to sell this to us. Like, look at the population numbers of the last two games. This should be a really, really solid jack-of-all-trades game. And although I don't think this is going to kill the game by any stretch of the imagination, it's little things like this that, if combined with other little problems, adds to a big problem. So they need to be careful, and I want them to nail this experience in pretty much every way possible, and it kind of frustrates me that they might be making little oversights here and there. But anyway, hope that didn't come across too negative. I've been Modest Major. Thank you for watching the com. Peace out.